Hello everyone, welcome back. In today's video we're going to talk about image sprites and attribute selectors. First of all, let's say we have 4 div right here that they have class name of D1, D2, D3 and D4. And here in our CSS we select our divs and give them the width of 300 pixels and height of 180 pixels. And let's give this a background of black. Now, if I want to select my divs separately, I use their class name. For example, here we have D1, D2, 3, and 4. And let's say we want to give these backgrounds. Here I have my pics folder, and inside of this I have 4 different images. Here, for using the image, we type URL, and here we give the path of the image that we want. And we do this with other divs too. Now you'll see each of our divs has different background. When we refresh the page, each of these is one request that our web page sends and wants the image separately. So when we refresh the page, our browser, our web page wants to download 4 images to show us. Instead of this, we can use something called image sprites. And here we have all of those images beside each other with no gaps between them. And if we want to use this, we only request one image instead of requesting for 4 different images. And our website's speed is gonna increase because of this. So how we're gonna use this? Here we use our image that contains all of these little images, which mine is this all.png, and we give this to all of other divs. So here you see we have only first image in our collection. To fix this, here after we put the URL of our image, here we use the controls to select the next image. For example, here we can give -300 pixels so we can get the next image in our row. And in the third div, we're going to type 600 pixel for the third image. And the last one we can have -900 pixels for the image. Now you'll see our divs all has different image backgrounds, and when we refresh the page, we only requesting single file that we want to download, and this increases our website's speed. The next part that we are going to talk about is attribute selectors. For start, let's say we have simple div right here, and we have our custom attribute inside of it. We can define custom attribute just by typing attribute name right here. For example, my custom attribute is 81 right here, and give this some value. For example, here we have test1. We can have multiple situations in giving this value to our attribute. First one is we have simple name, then we have another name, of course. After this, we can have both of test1 and test2 beside each other. After this, we can have, for example, test1 continued by other letters, for example, B. After this, we can have something with hyphen between it. And this is the all type of possible values that we can give to our custom attribute. So let's open our style right here. First of all, we're going to select our div right here and give this a height of, for example, 80 pixels and width of 300 pixels. And let's give this a background of black and border with 1 pixel, solid red. Now for selecting our attribute, we are going to use brackets. Here we can give the attribute name inside of these brackets, and all of the elements with these attributes is going to be selected. For example, if I say 81, which is our custom attribute here, we are going to select all of the divs and all of the elements that contains AT1 attribute inside it. So here we're going to type background, and let's say we want to give this background like this. You'll see now we have selected all of our divs because all of our elements here has this attribute 1 element. And if, for example, we have another attribute of 2, now you'll see it doesn't have selected in our file. And let's say we have anchor tag right here with attribute of AT1 either, and we give this the value of test1, for example. And here, if we have the link right here, let's actually write what are our values of attribute inside our divs. And here, let's make the color of them white so we can see them better. Let's make this center. And now let's make the font size larger. Okay, this is good. Now, if we want to select the divs with attribute 1 inside them, we are going to use div before our bracket here. So if I write div right here, you see now all of our divs has selected, but not our link right here. But if I use A instead of our div, you'll see now we have our anchor tag selected and not any of our divs. Let's delete this anchor tag right here. Let's say we want only the elements which attribute 1's value in day are test1. So here we're going to give this a value right here. And here we're going to type test1. Now, as you see, we have selected the div with the test1 value. And here you can see we have only this div that has attribute 1, and the value of attribute 1 is test1 there. And of course, we can select test2 just like this. But let's say we want to select this test1 and this one too. We have test1 here and here too. To do that, if we use test1 here, you see that we are going to select the element that value is just test1. To do that, here before our equal mark, we use tilde mark right here. And as you see, now we have selected all of the divs containing test1 word inside it. And if I make this test2, you can see now we have selected all of the elements that we have test2 inside that. But if I want to select all of the values with test1 inside it, but not in this mode. For example, if we have in this mode and this mode, we are going to use a vertical bar instead of our tilde mark. And now you see we have all of the values that is test1 only, or that word with continuing hyphen and other words after it. And if we want to select all of the values that they are starting with test1, we are going to use this caret mark instead of our vertical bar. Now you see we have selected all of the values that they are starting with test1. And now if I make this test2, you see now we have selected this, but not this one, because here we have starting with test1 and then we have test2 here. But let's say we want to select all of the values that ends with test2. To do that, we put $sign before our equal mark. Now you'll see we have selected all of the values with test2 is its ending. And here again, if I change this to test1, you'll see now we have this one and not selected this last one. And at the least, let's say we want to select all of the values that contains the word test1 and not other things. And to do that, here we use $sign before our equal mark. And if I use test right here, you can see we are going to select all of these values. And of course, we can have other type of string right here. For example, if I have the only EST, because we have EST in all of this, that we are going to select them. Let's say if we want all of the values containing B, here we just need to type B right here. Now you'll see we are going to select elements with the attribute of 81 and values containing the B. Please give a like and subscribe to catch next videos.